Hello everyone, hope you're all doing good as always, and welcome back to the channel. A new Final Fantasy XVI trailer dropped by name of Ambition. A trailer that, unlike the ones before it, gives us some never before seen clips and focuses on the main plot of the game, following the narration of a woman talking about the history of Valisthea. There is quite a lot to uncover here, including some speculations that have been confirmed since my last video, such as the fate of the Dominant and the true Dominant of Ramah. If you'd like to catch up with my previous video, feel free to check this link in the top right corner of the screen. Otherwise, let's just quickly have a recap of some of the things that we've confirmed so far. Joshua Rosfield is the Dominant of Phoenix hailing from the Grand Duchy of Rosaria, and his brother Clive dedicated his life to protecting him. Hugo Kupka is the Dominant of Titan hailing from the Dhalmekian Republic, and Benedicta Harmon is the Dominant of Garuda hailing from the Kingdom of Waloed. Except two reluctantly sharing one, each realm has a mother crystal which supplies their citizens with aether that is used to conjure magics that are either used for comfort or conquest. We also know that their world is currently under a threat known as the Blight, and a tragedy takes place that is said to have changed the lives of Clive and Joshua forever. Now that we've had our mini recap out of the way, let us get straight into what exactly the new trailer has to offer. It has been 1500 years since the fall of our forebears, and Valisthea has been slowly dying ever since. Darkness spreads as day gives way to twilight, the mother's flame now all but a flicker. But whom shall claim their fading light? The Grand Duchy of Rosaria, bastion of tradition? The Holy Empire of Sanbreque, where ambition is divine? The Dhalmekian Republic, whose fortunes shift with the desert sands? The Iron Kingdom, forged in faith and fear? Or the Kingdom of Waloed, indomitable in its isolation? From a single spark will the land ignite. In the year 860, the Imperial army will march upon Rosaria, and from the slaughter shall a new shadow rise, to fall upon the Dominant, painting their destiny black as night. Rise ye crownless kings, a reckoning is upon you, a war of the Eikon. This is the complete dialogue spoken by the narrator of the trailer. Right off the bat, we are made known that the events that we are experiencing have happened in the past, which gives us our first look into something that I believe everyone is aware of at this point, the time skip. We have already been made aware that a tragedy is to befall Clive and Joshua that changes their lives forever. And now, as the visuals to the dialogue ascertained, we can clearly see that the trigger that sets the clock ticking in FF16 is the invasion of Rosaria by the Imperial army of the Empire of Sanbreque. On close analysis, we have many a reason to believe that the start of the game is in the year as depicted by the narrator, 860, where the Empire of Sanbreque invades Rosaria. Whilst at this moment the goals of the Emperor of Sanbreque are unknown, we are confirmed a very important piece of information, the only thing that actually flew over our heads in the first two trailers. Many speculated that the Empire of Sanbreque was home to the Dominant of Ramah, and many assumed that it was either the Emperor himself or even what seemed to be his son. He looked about the same age as Joshua, and that kept him under suspicion of being a Dominant. However, we would come to know that this is in fact false, and the icon of the Empire of Sanbreque is Bahamut, King of Dragons. In my previous video, I likened the flags of the realms to their signature icons and assumed that Sanbreque, based on their flag, was home to not only Ramah but Shiva or Bahamut as well. What I had missed is a very important minute detail. The two mirroring dragons with massive horns below a woman in a cloak. In fact, the crystalline Dominion flag represents this woman and not the two dragons, in contrast of their flags bearing their dominance centered on their flags, or at least an aspect of it. And that brings us back to Dion Lesage. Dion is said to be a crowned prince of Sanbreque and is the leader of the noblest and most feared order of the knights, the Dragoons. He is in fact loved and respected by both Sanbreque's people as well as their soldiers, for the many times he has been able to shift the scales of battles in the favor of Sanbreque. Very much so that even songs of heroism of the warrior prince and his icon are sung by Sanbreque's bards. However, despite all this, he is clearly the most distressed in all of the footage we have seen of him in all the trailers. There is clearly an internal conflict of some sort with his ideals or with his sentiments about the Emperor. The Emperor is, after all, seen to disregard the lives of others as mere numbers that can be reproduced, and likewise of cities that can be rebuilt. The Emperor is clearly in it for his best interest, and Dion may have his own reservations in contrast of the Emperor. He is even seen disagreeing with the Emperor in the Dominion trailer. This is either in retort to the invasion of Rosaria Valeria or of the invasion of the other realms of Valisthea. Another character that has been somewhat elusive is Barnabas Tharma. This is a character we were able to hit the nail on in terms of theory crafting. As far back as the first trailer, with all our limited information, we were able to identify him as the dominant of Odin and king of Waloed. What we were unable to understand though were his origins, but with the new trailer came new information. Barnabas is said to be quite a mysterious character that arrived on the shores of Ash, the eastern half of Valisthea, as a landless and titleless wanderer. Despite Ash being home to local beastmen that revolt against the rule of Barnabas, he would succeed in single-handedly quelling their rebellions with his incredible skill of the blade and the power of his Eikon, Odin. Now, Barnabas, with the entirety of the eastern continent under the Waloed banner, has amassed an army that rivals the western realms of Valisthea at his disposal, and although he is always drawn to where the fighting is thickest, sometimes sits on the sidelines, merely observing the chaos of conflict between the realms. To be completely honest, it is very difficult to tell if this character is good or bad, or an anti-hero, but to be fair and completely honest, the greyest characters for me, despite what we've seen so far, would be Benedicta and Barnabas, seeing that both of them don't seem to have any established motivations to their actions just yet. In fact, Barnabas makes a statement in the first trailer expressing concern regarding the use of the mother crystals to help him get rid of the spread of the blight. He also talks in this trailer about how the blight continues to spread each day, and as the borders are consumed by it, the people flock to their mother crystals. He may honestly simply be trying not to help only his kingdom, but others as well. Take the map of Valisthea and pay attention because this is quite easy to miss. There is a location shown at the start of the trailer that is made known to us as the Deadlands. This cuts to the location of the tower right here. Taking a closer look, we can see that this tower is located on Ash, right underneath the letter I in what seems to be a dark tinted portion of the map of Valisthea. The Deadlands are said to have been consumed by the blight, by this mysterious character that we will now come to know as the dominant of Rama, and on close inspection of both areas, the terrain looks the same. Seeing that the character being carried on the back of this man is Jill Warwick, we can conclude that this is on one of the locations covered by the dark tint on the map of Valisthea, but we will get to this after we talk a little bit about our dominant of Rama here. Amongst the exposition of the dominance was one character that we had never seen before prior to the Ambition trailer. This character's name hasn't even been identified, but he is seen to be helping Clive earnestly. This character would come to be known as the dominant of Rama, and although he is scarcely seen, he seems to be quite important. He is seen at the very start of the Ambition trailer in the location named the Deadlands, and in the first trailer pointing at the destination of Sandbreck on a map of Valisthea. You can see the seams on his forearm is the same as those shown in these frames. Very much like Barnabas, the origin of this character is unknown, yet he has 2 points of dialogue that gives us an idea as to where he is from. In his first line, he appears to know more about the terrain of the Deadlands, telling Clive that they don't have much further to go, and gives some information on the effect of the blight on the area, which insinuates that he has been around there for quite some time or knows a little bit more about the place. The second line, and the one that gives us a bigger hint as to where he is from, is when he speaks of the fact that despite commanding the Eikons, even though they are to be respected, they are treated as outcasts. Take this with a grain of salt, however, but this very strongly hints to the fact that he may be an outcast from the Iron Kingdom. The Iron Kingdom, after all, are an extreme faith that worship the mother crystals and see dominance as heresy. This would also make sense because we can see that he is helping Clive rescue a collapsed Jill, sitting on the back of this support soldier accompanying the both of them through the Deadlands. We can without a doubt support this, as we can see that this is a tinted area on the map of Valisthea on the continent of the Iron Kingdom, which has been confirmed to be consumed by the blight. I'll go over how Jill ends up like this in a minute, but this dominant of Rama has clearly been through a lot and seems to be one of the first to experience the drawback of using the power of the Eikons. We can see in this frame that his skin is slowly turning to stone. I feel it's important to mention here that Jill Warwick from the Japanese translation makes a comment at this very point in the trailer that dominants whom use the power of the Eikons are fated to turn to stone, and this brings us to our next character, Jill Warwick, but I don't want to talk about her without talking about Joshua as well. It has now been shown that without a doubt, past the time skip, the events that followed the year 860's invasion of Rosaria by Sanbreque ended in bitterness. Jill Warwick, dominant of Shiva, was captured and by her own words became their puppet. The "their" in this sentence is none other than the Iron Kingdom. They are the only realm that speak a foreign language, as is heard when Jill is kicked down by one of their soldiers in this part of the trailer. And it doesn't end there. In the first and second trailer, we were made known of something called the War of the Twin Realms. Benedicta phrased that the Dalmex were the ones to drive back the Crusaders in this Battle of the Twin Realms. It is there that we see a cut to this so-called war, where we can see soldiers with the same gear and axes fighting what looks to be Dalmekian soldiers. As we know, Jill is the dominant of Shiva, and we can see that there is a battle between both her Eikon and Titan. This most definitely is to reference her being used as a puppet or a tool of war by the Iron Kingdom against the Dalmex in the Battle of the Twin Realms. Now this is where things get a little spicy, so you guys have to bear with me a little bit here. By narration, in the year 860, it is known that the Imperial army invades Rosaria, and in the midst of the slaughter shall a new shadow rise. In my previous video, I'd thought the awakening of the second Icon of Fire to be Clive, but now thinking about it made no sense. I left it up to Clive going crazy after transforming into Ifrit for the first time and fighting Joshua's Eikon in a fit of rage. But then his motivation about revenge wouldn't make sense there. Out of all the characters past the time skip, the only character we get no visual of is Joshua. This leads me to believe that Joshua is in fact dead, and the shifted motivation of Clive from being the shield of his brother to swearing revenge in the first trailer is as a result of the shadow that will arise, as said by the narrator. Whomever this was in a cloak may have been a foreign invader of no origin that took advantage of the chaos ensuing and transformed into the dark Icon Ifrit with red eyes, and for whatever reason fought Joshua. Of course, as we have seen in the two trailers now, this fight is scripted and you are forced to lose as the Icon of Phoenix and taken out by Ifrit. It is then that a soldier starts screaming for Joshua, begging him to wake up in a scene that looks terrible. Dark Ifrit is seen tearing apart something off screen with blood spilling into frame with each pull. We can then assume it was after this tragedy that Joshua passes, and Clive swears revenge on whoever this mysteriously cloaked character may have been. With the fall of Rosaria to this extent though, there isn't much of a realm to go back to. It is then that Clive decides to go to Sanbreque, and this can be either as a spy or a legitimate decision in his journey. I make this conclusion because Clive is seen with these soldiers at the start of the first trailer with tattoos on their faces, wearing the exact same armor that the Imperials wore when invading Rosaria. In fact, the tattoos on these soldiers' faces may be a mark given by Sanbreque to all refugees fighting under the name of Sanbreque. This could be the reason the soldier makes a statement saying, "Our kind do not question orders, we follow them," when another raised a question about knowing if Jill was going to be there or not. The specific reason Sanbreque wanted to capture Jill could be for adding on to their military might, but let's not forget that Jill was originally a member of fallen northern territories. She is even said to have served as a symbol of peace between those northern territories and Rosaria. As far as Jill goes, that's the information we have so far, but we do see her and Clive for one darkened frame, a frame that we can properly see thanks to the power of Photoshop. As we near the end of the video, I'd like to talk about something that warrants some concern. Yoshi P made a statement of a hidden meaning in the game's logo. The logo is that of Phoenix and Ifrit seemingly facing each other. At the end of the trailer, we are shown a very specific painting where all the icons are present. We can see Garuda, Titan, Brahma, Odin, Bahamut, and Shiva. And there is one more icon that has a striking resemblance to Leviathan. The final icon we see is a giant one that seems to be a fusion between Ifrit and Phoenix. Now, I don't know if that fusion could be the hidden meaning Yoshi P meant, but it is very important to mention that all these icons, except the Ifrit Phoenix looking hybrid, have halos. Something that has been on my mind is that in all the footage we see Clive in, we never really see him directly turn into a dominance like the others we've seen so far. In fact, all we ever see of Clive, as far as dominants are concerned, is him using their abilities as some sort of projection. I believe it's very safe to say at this point that Clive does not seem to be a dominant based on the information we have so far. Seeing as Clive can freely use all the Icon's abilities, yet is not a dominant, it would make a lot of sense that he could be the Phoenix Ifrit hybrid. All the icons we know to their respective dominants in this painting have halos, yet Clive is not a dominant, but can still command their abilities. The bigger picture here is a truly cryptic one that we can only theorize until we get more information. That being said, this has been one hell of a roller coaster, and it has been absolutely fun trying to pinpoint the story and where this is going. FF16 truly seems to be sizing up into something special, and I can't wait to see what we get next. If you guys like this theory crafting and analysis videos, feel free to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications, as well as drop a like on the video. I really would appreciate it. I've been reluctant to mention this in any of my previous videos, but I do stream on Twitch as well, at twitch.tv/FrigantXV. Kindly come by and drop a follow if you wish to catch me on there as well. I'd really appreciate it. This is Frigante signing out, and please remember, take your time.